Hey HTDA and welcome to Patron, a new series on this channel. I've been wanting to play Patron for a very long time now and I finally got around to it and I was enjoying it, so I figured, hey, let's share it with everyone else on the channel. If I like it, it's a very good chance that you are going to like this as well. Patron is a survival colony building game. You build a colony and you try to keep everyone in that colony alive. And sounds pretty straightforward, and to be honest it is. But it's not necessarily something that is easy. It's best to compare this game with maybe a game you are familiar with, like Banished, or games like Banished, which is pretty much the same concept, with the difference that this game is a little bit newer. I think it's very well done. It's really enjoyable, at least I was having fun with it. So I suggest we give it a spin and you can check it out for yourselves. If you do end up liking the game, you can actually buy it through my online store as well. So you get your Steam key through that store, but you're supporting the channel at the same time. If you want to do that, it's very highly appreciated. If you do not want to do it because you can get it cheaper elsewhere, please go ahead and do that. It has been on sale for several times already, so it's probably possible to get it somewhere cheaper than the default price, so by all means do that as well. So make sure you check that out before you buy it through my own store. Let's jump into a game. This game is supposed to be really hard. I've not really had a chance to play it for a very long time just yet. I figured, hey, let's just make a series about it and you can see me fail. Hopefully not, but let's try it out and see how far we can get. It does require a brain to play, which is one of the conditions I put to my games. So this is going to be a nice little challenge. We are going to call our town New Amsterdam. For those of you who are from the US, you might know which city was formerly known as New Amsterdam. So this is partially for you and partially for me because I'm Dutch and yeah, Amsterdam rocks. We have the lion over here, which seems appropriate as well, considering we have lions all over the Dutch national stuff. We are going to have to pick a map, and there's quite a few maps actually to pick from. I am going to go for one of the challenge maps, so you have either normal maps or challenge maps. We want to make our game a little bit more difficult, so let's go for this one. Fjords of Iron. Everything is Viking themed nowadays, so let's jump on that train, shall we? It's going to be a fairly decent soil fertility and ore richness, but the weather is going to be very cold, so that's going to be an interesting thing to see if we can actually keep our people warm. Let's put the difficulty setting to extreme as well. That means we start with a lower amount of people, so less people to do the work, and make sure we have enough resources coming in. Everything else is set to either extreme bad things or low good things. I am actually going to turn back on the event frequency to normal, just because I like having these random events popping up. I'm not entirely sure if this really factors into the difficulty at all, so we might as well just go and do that. So let's start up a game and see how we do. Okay, so let's find a place to build our town center. Now you have complete freedom over where you actually place this down. Generally speaking, you want to be somewhere close to some of the mountains. They tend to give you good places to build your mines. You want to be somewhere close to water because that's a good place to fish. And you want to be close to things like wood because that's where you find food. As well as, of course, just get building materials. So I think we'll just start out somewhere like over here. Yeah, sounds good. And hints, build houses and stuff like that. Yes, I know. So I'm just going to pause the game for now. You can see your little people milling around. We are going to start with 12 people in our village, 7 adults. Those are actually the people you can put to work. We have 3 younger people that are not actually going to be contributing anything, but they will be eating. And they will want to be kept warm, so that's going to be a thing. The interesting thing is, by the way, while we have this on pause, the building is still moving, the bell is still swinging, so that's interesting to see. Never actually noticed that before, but it's a little nice detail. We also have 2 younger children. You can see the little babies walking around here. And of course, those will be growing up to younger people and then finally into adults. Now, in order to get more of those people, we're going to need some housing for our people. We currently have 4 families, and we need basically 1 house per family, because people don't like to share their house with other families, not if you want to actually have them make babies. Now, in order to place your buildings like a boss, you can actually make use of the building grid. And of course we want to be very neat about how we organize our little base, so we are going to be making use of the grid a lot. And since we have a penalty on demolishing buildings, we do want to make sure we don't have to move them just because we didn't space them out correctly. Now, we are also going to build a little road to this side, because what we are going to be building is, let me see where it is, it's a gatherer shelter. So we have a couple of base buildings unlocked from the start. We have a hunting lodge, which actually makes venison and leather. However, the main problem with the hunting lodge is that it actually requires lumber and iron. Lumber we can cut down trees for, but we don't have any source of iron at the moment, so that's not something we want to start out with. So the alternative for getting food initially is a gatherer's shelter. Now, the gatherer's shelter needs to be somewhere close to trees, because people find food in those trees. And we want to have it fairly close to our homes, because the shorter the distance to our homes, the more efficient that will be. So let's place it just around here. Now the second thing that we're also going to need is a forester's hut, which is basically exactly what it says on the tin. It is going to be planting trees as well as cutting down trees. And once again, the more trees you have around, the more efficient this will be. So in order for these buildings to actually be built, we are probably going to have to cut down some trees. So let's cut down these, because they are out of range for our buildings, so we won't really need them. Now this does mean, because we built the forester hut over here as well as the gatherer's hut, that we probably need to make sure we don't cut down any more trees other than the ones that we already have over here. Now you can actually speed up the game a little bit. You can set it to 2 times speed, 5 times speed, 10 times speed. 10 times speed actually means that buildings will be constructed a lot faster and stuff like that, obviously. And you will probably be playing most of this game as long as you're actually waiting for stuff to happen on 10 times speed, because, well, otherwise things take a very long time to complete. Now, once a building is completed, I'm actually pausing the game for that. You can assign people to roles. We have a gatherer's hut up, so we're definitely going to assign 2 people to that. You can also assign people to be a carrier. A carrier is basically someone who just walks around your village delivering stuff from building to building. Sounds very boring, but they do it more efficiently than the default workers. And dedicating a few people to that will actually make sure that you always have someone delivering goods. Now you're going to need a lot more than 2 carriers, so these general workers are going to be vital to actually keeping your base alive, which is something to keep note of. But yeah, for now this is what we're going to be working with. Now, same with the forester. Once the building is done, we're going to assign someone to work there. So we're getting some more logs. Now we are already out of firewood. We can solve that pretty easily, but in order to do that, we are going to need a sawmill. In order to build a sawmill, we're going to need more coins. We get coins from the simple fact that people living in buildings actually pay taxes. It's not a huge amount. It's only 119 per year for this these 4 houses. I mean, it's per house, depending on how many people live in that house. But you want to be very careful about what you spend your coin on. 73 is not 75. There's nothing I can sell at the moment, considering we don't have like a dock or harbor or anything like that we can sell goods on. You can see these people planting these little trees, so that's really interesting to see. It's all types of those small little details that I really enjoy about games like this. I think we'll be fine if we just place these sawmill a little bit out here. And the reasoning behind that is that the wood is actually going to go to the homes. So if we place it down here, then the next thing we're actually going to do is place a depot right next to it. So that means that all the lumber that's not going to the sawmill can go into there, all the food can go into there, and all the firewood that we don't need can go into there. And then we should have a very good time with that as well. We are running really dangerously low on food already, so cutting it really close there. And we can actually upgrade the production of our building, so you can increase the baskets, which basically just means that the people in the building will be working more efficiently. You can also increase the amount of slots you have in this building. let's actually make sure we have someone assigned to the Sawyer as well. Now we only have 3 people, including the carrier, available now to actually move stuff around our base, so that's not that much, honestly. Let's see, we can upgrade the Forester's Hut as well, but I don't think that's necessarily something we want to spend money on right at this moment. So we do need to be a little bit careful about what we do next. I do think we need to build this depot over here just to make sure we are not wasting anything in terms of delivery times. And that does cost gold, so I'm not entirely sure if this is the best investment, but we'll find out. If it's not, our people will simply die. Oh, we're actually getting some food from the king. Thank you, king. 150 gold. Very much appreciated. Thank you for that. And let's see, what else can we do? We do now have 13 people in our village. People are making babies. So they seem to be confident about the future. I wish I could say the same. Because we are going to cut it really close when it comes to firewood. As you can see, we are already running out. It's already getting quite cold in here. But coal itself is not necessarily the first thing that will kill people. Not having food will definitely kill people. So what we're actually going to do, I think, is increase the production even further. And we might also want to save up some coins to expand the amount of people working in this building. So that's probably the next thing we're going for. 50 coins, 50 coins. It's September, people, pay your taxes so we can have some more production. Nice little detail, by the way, about the Gatherer's Shelter is that it actually says it's the Gatherer's Shelter. You can see people working there, you can people sawing. I have the speed set to 10 times, so they're moving around pretty quick, but all in all you can actually see the little forester planting trees, things like that. It's really, really nice details. I really like it about games like this, when they show all those little people actually doing their jobs, working, stuff like that. So, thanks to a little bit of donation from the king, we are doing fairly good on food. Not so much on firewood, but we are producing just about every time this pops up, we actually get a new batch of firewood going. So, I do want one more person working in this Gatherer's Shelter while we still have access to food. There we go. Now we are low on workers, I know, but hopefully we won't actually need those workers to survive the first winter. We are now up to 14 people. Stop making babies, people. Save that for the summer. Please, please, we need our food. But yeah, we'll have to see if we can survive with all these babies also requiring food. Alright, so it's November. Our small little snowman in front of the buildings, which is a really cool detail, I think. I was just talking about details, but there's like little Christmas trees around. We are actually going to insulate our homes as well, so we have a lower firewood and coal upkeep. So basically we don't need as much firewood to keep our buildings warm. Considering how low we are on firewood, that's probably a good idea. Not entirely sure what to go for first, food or insulation, probably both. Let's just finish the insulation on our buildings. It's fairly cheap, and given the fact that cold is coming and we are somewhat doing well on food, although you can see the food production actually going down. And once these people are going to become of age, we are definitely going to have a food problem there. But yeah. Okay, so we have insulated all our homes. I think the next stop is to upgrade our shelter. Now, remember, I am playing at extreme difficulty with a very low amount of workers. So we do need to make sure we min-max the hell out of our production. I do think we picked a pretty decent location actually for our buildings. I do expect one of our younger people to grow up at any time, so I think we'll just save up for the expansion and increase the worker slots. It actually says ×2, but that's compared to the default value, I think. So we are not going to go up to 5, but we're actually going to go up to 4 because we already expanded it once. How many works do we have? Yeah, we only have 2. I know. But we're keeping people fairly warm. I mean, we do have some firewood going on. We do get regular warnings that we're out of that, but every time we get that warning, we get a new batch in, so... We actually are still above the 150 food that we got for free. People don't die instantly when they run out of food, but they run out. They die pretty soon after that. Actually, I'm going to not put anyone in this building just yet, because I do want to have at least 2 people walking around delivering stuff. We need people to deliver food, we need people to deliver logs to the sawmill, we need firewood to be delivered to the homes, so all in all, someone grow up please, someone grow up. Sounds like I'm calling them childish or something like that, but that's not what I mean. I just actually want you to grow up so I can put you to work. We have a little bit of money actually, but we don't have anything to do with that in terms of upgrades over here. We could upgrade the forester, although I don't necessarily think this is the best investment at this point in time, but actually having those trees grow a little bit faster is a pretty good thing to have. This is fully upgraded already. We can actually upgrade the baskets once more. It's probably a worthwhile investment, so everyone that's already in this building is actually going to be producing more food. As you can see, we are now producing less than we're consuming, so we are going to be running low on food as well. Cutting it close, cutting it close. If we can get... Oh, we actually got one more person, so let's put that person to work in the gatherer shelter right away. I know we don't have enough workers, but we had 2 before, we have 2 now. Should all be good. Hopefully. Maybe. I don't know. Let's find out. Now, this part of the game I really like, actually. It's really cool to just sit back. The music is actually pretty good. Hasn't gotten too repetitive for me so far. It's a little bit on the loud side. For some reason, the game keeps turning it up every time I turn it down. Even though the setting says it's really low already. I apologize if the music is a little bit too loud. I don't think it's too bad, but hey, it's March, it's not winter anymore, or at least it's not snowy anymore. I think we just survived our first winter. Could it be? I don't know, maybe? Wouldn't be the first time that a few people grow up and suddenly everyone starts dying because we ran out of food. If that sounds weird, no it's not. It's definitely a thing that can happen. I do actually want to improve this fertilization a little bit. Because having more trees is a good thing, and more trees actually improves the efficiency of the buildings that depend on those trees, like the gatherer and like the forester itself. As you can see, we're now producing 408 per year. And that's simply because we are placing down more and more trees, and we are cutting them down, remember. So we're not just only placing them down, we're also cutting them down. So what is the next step that we want to go for? Well, first of all, we kind of need to wait for more people to become adults. Because otherwise we don't actually have anyone to put to work. How are we in terms of food production? We are now producing more than we're consuming, so that's good. We need to be very careful about these people growing up, because as soon as 1 or 2 of them grow up, we are probably going to have a problem. So what we can actually do, we go to the technology screen. I don't think I actually mentioned this yet. There's a huge amount of things that we can discover. As you can see, they need ridiculous amounts of gold and things like that as well. But initially, it starts out pretty basic. We can research a quarry, which will allow us to actually make stone, which is going to be pretty important. or we can go for the fisherman hut. And the nice thing about the fisherman hut is that we also have a new upgrade over here that is ice fishing, and that will actually increase the fisherman's hut during the winter. So I think that's a pretty efficient way to go in terms of getting some more food production on top of what we're already doing with our gatherer's hut. So let's research the fisherman hut, and let's make that our initial focus for that. After that, we are probably going to want to focus a little bit on stone, because as you can see, we have no stone, although we can probably send a few people to collect that. I do think I saw some stone. I don't think we can collect this. Nope. We can collect this stone over here, so let's send a few people out to gather some of that. And then when it comes to production, can we build fisherman huts? Okay, so this actually costs coins to keep up and running. That is something to be aware of, but not necessarily a problem. The only downside of the fisherman hut is that it's quite far away, so that's not ideal. But honestly, we're going to probably be expanding our little base in this direction anyway, so we might as well just build it here. See how far in can we actually place this. Seem to be content with just being over here. That's fine with me. Let's make some roads. Something like that. We can always move the road if that's what we want to do. And let's go like this. The nice thing about roads is that did we actually build any signposts yet? No, we actually didn't. So let's do that now. Signposts are exactly what they say they are. They're a little signposts, but they will actually let your people move quicker around your little colony. So building those is generally speaking always a good idea. We just need to make sure we have some in strategic locations. They don't really cost that much, so you can just spend them all over the place. Just one log each. But getting that little movement bonus is definitely worth it. It's only 5%, so nothing major. But that's 5% more than nothing, so there we go. In terms of other overviews, we have this overview that's the building overview. That's the grid that we can use to align stuff. We also have this overview that's showing us where the soil is better, so that allows us to place crops. So we have a pretty decent spot over there, it seems. Yeah, that seems to be the best place by far for some farms, maybe over here. And then we have the overview for ores. So basically any mine that we want to be placing needs to be in a green zone for ore in order to be efficient. So that's actually nice that we have a good space for that over there as well. How are we doing on people? Yes, we are up to 8 adults still. Let's prioritize this construction. And so let's make sure we actually place down a depot here as well. Can we fit it in over here? Probably not. So the reason I'm thinking to build a depot over here is just because I actually think the game shares that space with these buildings over here, so it'll just pick it up from the closest building where it can find access to that. My lord, the king's advisors have sent a list of requests. No official reason has been noted, only a list. They're bleeding us dry, but we can't go against the king. We will give our peasants and laborers more loyalty, but merchants and gentry less. We actually currently only have peasants and laborers, I think, so that's not necessarily going to be a problem. Or we can decline, then we have a problem. So we might as well just spend some lumber. It's not like we're not producing oodles of that anyway. And keep the people happy. The last thing we want is our people to rebel right now. Why don't we have any food? That's probably because we have a very low amount of workers and carriers and stuff like that. But hopefully one of these people will actually become an adult very soon. we are slowly starting to stockpile food again. We do have still a very low production actually. How come we only have 56 production? We're supposed to be producing like over 100. That's strange. I'm actually wondering if that's because we only have a few workers. Maybe they're not getting it out of the building fast enough, so this has a full inventory or something like that. Not entirely sure actually. Anyway, yeah, we're constructing a few things. We will actually need a few people to actually grow up so we can put them to work elsewhere. This part of the game is just a little bit about waiting and biding your time before you expand too far. Because I started on Extreme, we are starting out with a smaller population, so I probably need to do some skips here and there in order to keep things interesting and moving. But all in all, I think this is a pretty good place to end our first episode. We did actually survive our first winter, which, weird as it may sound, usually the start of most games is the easiest. I think in games like this it's actually the hardest by far in order to make sure you survive the first winter, especially starting in Extreme because you don't have too much time to prepare. As you could tell, we were barely making through it. We had almost no firewood by the end of it, and we are of course now stocking it up quite nicely, so that's good. We are also stocking up a little bit back up on food. As you can see, we're now producing more food than we're consuming, so that's good. And hopefully that will also make sure we are good to go for our second winter. Now, we do have a couple of people growing up very soon. They will be eating a lot more food than they did as a child, so yeah, we're not quite out of the woods just yet, I think. But we do have a backup option here in the form of a fishery, so that's another source of food production that we have up and running. Now all we need is actually someone to build all of these things. But yeah, like we said, we only have a couple of people working on carrying and working. We actually only have one worker now building buildings, so that is obviously going to take a little while. And I don't want to pull anyone off any of their other duties because we are going to need all of the food and all of the firewood as well. So, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this series, or at least this episode of this new series. Let me know in the comments if you like games like this, or if there's anything other comments that you have to make about suggestions to whatever I'm doing, etc, etc. I do not mind backseat gaming at all. I actually like your input, so if you have any, please share. And all in all, just let me know if you like the game. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Like and subscribe, comment, etc, etc, you know all of it, but it does really help out the channel, so make sure you do that. And yeah, thanks for joining. I will catch you in the next one.